We have just seen how sinful, rebellious mankind after the fall took God's original intent and design for humankind, that they fill the earth with his glory, and distorted that. Sure enough, they filled the earth. But since the image of God in them had been corrupted, they are now filling the earth with violence rather than filling the earth with the glory and worship of God. So he determined to make an end of all flesh. Of course, he sent a flood. Noah and his family, Noah built the ark. He and his family were spared, along with a pair of each kind of animals to repopulate the earth afterwards. So we go through Genesis 6 through 9. We get to chapter 10, where the humans begin repopulating the earth, and the sons of Noah have children. And this chapter gives the table of nations, the 70 nations that derive from the descendants of Noah. And then the next major story in the biblical text is the Tower of Babel. I want to focus on one part in particular. What was the thinking of the people who settled in the land of Shinar and built the tower? They wanted to make a name for themselves. They wanted to settle in one place, lest we be dispersed over the face of the earth. In other words, we certainly can't have any of this fill of the earth business. They wanted to make sure that they weren't dispersed over the face of the earth. Now, were they thinking, who cares what God says? We have the knowledge of good and evil. We're going to do what's right in our own eyes. We would rather settle down in one place and pool our resources and make a big tall tower than spread out over the face of the earth? Were they thinking, we've heard the stories of what happened back to our ancestors in the days of Noah and how they were filling the earth, and again, doing it with their own knowledge of good and evil, what's right in their own eyes, filling the earth with violence, as mankind does, and God put an end to all of them, and they're like, what good is it to fill the earth if God's just going to destroy us when we do it in our way? For whatever reason, they said, fill the earth, bad thing. Settle down in the plain of Shinar, good thing. So they settled and they built the Tower of Babel. As you likely know, God was displeased with their effort for multiple reasons, and so he dispersed them over the face of the earth. They said, we don't want to be dispersed over the face of the earth, but God dispersed them over the face of the earth. There, he dispersed them over the face of the earth. So indeed, mankind ends up being dispersed over the face of the earth, not because they're seeking to expand the boundaries of Edenic paradise to make the whole world a utopia where God and man live in loving harmony together with all of creation, giving him glory and enjoying each other's presence, but simply because uh, God was displeased with mankind pooling together, congealing in one place, saying, last thing we want is to be dispersed over the face of the earth. And so he had to forcibly spread them. So the first 11 chapters of the book of Genesis have turned into a story of God's original plan for mankind to fruitfully multiply, fill the earth, take dominion over the animals. And mankind, after rebelling against God and taking on their own knowledge of good and evil, finding every which way to distort or ignore or turn away against God's plan for them and for the world. And it's this continuous battle between God and man wanting to do things his way, God not losing sight of the original plan that he had, that his image-bearing children and worshippers would fill the earth with his glory. And yet mankind sure isn't making it easy. God seems to be having to find a way to get his original plan accomplished despite the rebelliousness of man. And we've gone through a couple cycles where it just isn't working out, but God hasn't lost. Seems God hasn't given up on his original plan that the world would be filled with his glory and with his children who bear his image and give him glory. So we have to see, going on from there, how God is going to work towards fulfilling the original plan.